So, wow, this is wonderful. So welcome everyone to our Loving Waters New Moon Water Guardian Connection Call. And this happens every month. And my name is Shelley Darling. I'm in Sarasota, Florida. Just learning about my watershed here, even though I've lived here for a while. And this is just an opportunity for us to meet each other as worldwide water beloveds. It's simply where we get to express, and everyone will have a chance to share tonight. We also leave time for if people want to share some of their practices. So sometimes there's people who are new, or even us, who have been doing water blessings. It's a real joy to hear what you're doing and who you are, and we invite you when you share to share your watershed. And even if you don't know it, it's cool to say, I don't know, because that's our job. We want to help you discover more about how the water runs in your community and your relationship to that. And it's a very powerful experience. So tonight, we are really coming together to connect our living waters. And I wanted to share a little bit about Loving Waters, just so that you understand who we are, and honoring the Water Guardian Council members who, there's 8 of us who have really come together to just hold, like literally hold the container of water. You know, here's my bottle of sacred water, but we're holding the container so people can come together to make visible these beautiful water ceremonies to support the education of water awareness. So we are really just a growing educational community, bringing broader awareness to our water as a living organism to be respected and loved. The intention and mission of Loving Waters is to globally inspire individuals in their local communities into deeper conversations and actions regarding vital stewardship of our world water. And we do that in a couple of ways. Like I said, we have this new moon call every month. It's 90 minutes, it's a chance to really have a love fest and meet and greet each other. And also, we come together on the full moon, but we do it locally in our different environments. And so what we're working towards in this phase 2 of Loving Waters is to extend and build the website even a little bit bigger, so we can begin to share our watersheds. And we just put a page on poems and prayers, because one of the things that has been discovered over this past year, which is so, I don't know, it touches my heart so much, is we discovered that if we begin to share, if you're doing a water blessing by yourself or with someone else or community, you usually come and you'll have an intention for that water blessing, and maybe some prayers or songs that you choose to do. If you begin to share that with us, and we do it with each other, and we share each other's intentions at our own water blessings. So as example, if somebody was in France and they're doing one and they share a song or a poem, and I take that and I use that in my water blessing, there's something that happens that I haven't seen before. And this network of love and light begins to really vibrate and ripple through the field. So that's something that we've begun and really want to support that. So there is a place, if you have water poems or prayers or songs, you can send them in to us. And we're making this page where those will be on the page. And you can pick and take and copy, we want that. There's no stealing. It's just, please use this. So that's a really beautiful realization that has happened recently. So I'm not going to read any more off that. This is enough. And I want to introduce our surprise tonight. So Renya Craig, I met today because Spirit had me do this thing last night, and she responded on Facebook. And all of a sudden there was this really strong connection, as some of you also I've met. And I'm going to let her share a little bit about herself, because she can only stay on about 15 minutes with us because she's going somewhere. But I've asked her to open our call. She shared this beautiful water song, and she's going to invite us to if we want to chant that with her and really open up the vibration of this call tonight before we each begin to share. So, and she also introduced me to the Sisterhood of the Planetary Water Rights, and I'm going to be learning a little bit more about that. And they have a very similar focus that we have, and that's what we're beginning to find around the world, is that so many of us are coming together and realizing the joy of connection and community. So with that, my love, Renya's on the phone, and we'll invite people you can put yourself on mute while she's sharing, but when she begins to sing and chant, we invite you to join in if you feel that you want to, or you can just simply close your eyes and just be in the resonance of that frequency. So thank you for coming, love. It's all yours.
Oh, thank you, Shelley. I'm sitting here in my little bungalow. I'm an artist off-grid in New Mexico. Very quiet here, and I'm basking in the beauty of this community, and I'm really grateful to Spirit for bridging Shelley and I together just a very short while ago. You know, in these times, it seems to me that it's time to rise up. It's time to step forward with what matters most. And I knew that as much as I tried to talk myself out of being able tonight because of things that preparations I need to make for tomorrow, I realized after Shelley asked me 3 times, yes, I'm to be on this call. So it is my honor. It's my delight. And I thank you all very much for this work that's so important that we're doing all over the world for the waters. What I find fascinating real quick is that I have been praying most recently to deepen my art of commitment to live as a blessing on this earth, to live the art of blessing and the power of intention with all that I do. And so putting that out and deepening that personal call, resonant, that this invitation has come forward, because I feel a very, very strong connection that I would love to join you for future community participation. So with that said, I bask in the glow of your voices, hearing you from all over the world. It's so wonderful. And I bask in the energy of this circle. And I am here to share, as Shelley invited me to, this chant that I learned of several years ago. The chant is called O Ma Ka Om. And it's a Hawaiian chant. And it comes from a Hawaiian project for the waters, again, that came many years ago. And I found it very difficult to find online very much about it these days. However, if anyone wants to check it out, it is called the One Song Project. And there's actually a video up there at that website, the One Song Project, of this chant. So after sharing it this evening, if anyone would like to go there, there it is, the One Song, if you can just search it. And the other thing that Shelley just mentioned, that there's another beautiful website that I have been part of. It's called the Sisterhood of the Planetary Water Rights. And that website, if you want to find out more about it, it's waterblessings.org. That's plural, waterblessings.org. And like Shelley said, they're very similar in their mission as to your community as well. It's really beautiful. So there you go, resources to share. A little bit about Oma Ka Om. Oh, I'm sorry, Shelley wanted me to share a little bit about me, I guess, eh? I lived for most of my life on the East Coast of the United States in a village called Connecticut on the Eastern Shore. Water was and still is very abundant there. And I was never conscious growing up there about, letting water run. And it wasn't until 5 years ago when I released my beautiful life in Connecticut, because I have a very strong gypsy spirit, and surrendered my life, found myself cross country to collaborate with the unknown. And I ended up in New Mexico. I ended up in the desert, and I'd never lived in the desert before, although I felt as a young girl that my spirit resided there. So I'm living in northern New Mexico, and water's a whole different situation here. I live off grid with 4 other homes in a community, and we have very little water, not enough to grow a garden. We all have, we just installed 2 500-gallon water tanks, and that's where we get our water from, the rainwater. And sometimes we buy it if we need more. But I've become more and more aware of how precious the waters are, and staying more hydrated than I ever have in my life. So that's a little bit about my present. Even though I've done water blessing ceremonies with others in the past, I've really been living off grid, very solo, with my, and very quiet, being very focused on my creative work. And I'm absolutely overjoyed that this invitation tonight is inviting me to stand up, to rise forward in resonant collaboration with others. I'm so happy to have discovered you, and I thank the Spirit again for that. So back to Om Ka Om. It's a chant, very simple one. Again, the words are Om Ka Om. I'll spell them. O-M-A space K-A space O-M. And Om Ka Om is a Hawaiian love song to the waters of life, the life of water within our bodies and all around us. It's a sacred love song to all life, a chant of love and gratitude to all the waters on our living planet and to the interconnectedness of all life. So that's the blessing. And the words itself, Oma represents honoring the Great Mother, Gaia, our planet. And it holds the frequency of Ah, Oma. And Ah, A-H, is the resonance of the awakened, compassionate heart. Ka represents the energy of consciousness, the awakening within ourselves and our world to return to the place of the consciousness of honorable life. And Om is the sacred sound that represents the resonant tone of the universe. Om, the pulse that runs through all life. So Om Ka Om. So I would like to invite us all as an opening to the water blessing tonight, to join me if you feel inspired to sing Om Ka Om. What's coming to me is to say the words Om Ka Om 3 times, to speak them, and then I'll sing them 8 times, 8 representing relationship. So with the intent that the 8 times of deepening the sounds, embodying the sounds of Om Ka Om, deepens our relationship with the waters of life within and all around us. So before I start, I'm just going to take a minute to join you all. I see us all in a circle, sitting side by side, looking at one another deeply, eye to eye. And in that vision of our eyes, we go deeper, where our minds and our hearts meet in the middle of that circle. One mind, one heart, in the middle of that circle, and one voice. And so I'm going to take a moment to simply be in the vibrancy and the willingness to join in this powerful center that we've all come together to create, and allow it to deepen and ripple out as we're filling up, deepening and filling it up It goes out in ripples everywhere on this beautiful planet. Every water body, every being, every life form. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to be quiet now. I meet you in the circle. Oma ka om. 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 Oma om. Oma ka 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 om.
So let's
And I see us all together with our hands on our hearts, feeling the deepening of our blessing, of our love, of our honoring, of our beautiful sweet spirits, being with the waters of the earth in deep gratitude. I love each of you as my soul family, and I thank you for inviting me tonight. And I look forward to sharing, hearing your stories, and at future gatherings. Thank you so much, Shelley. Thank you.
Oh
Deeply grateful.
Oh my gosh. I thank the waters for bringing you and in your waka to all of us tonight. So thank you. And we'll continue in this vibration. And just so that you know, this call is recorded, and I will be sending it out later tonight to everybody. So make sure that I have your emails, and I'll put it on Loving Waters Facebook page as well. So that'll be there sometime later tonight. So thank you. Such a joy, such a joy, such a joy.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for calling me forward. It is rising up time, and you have invited me to rise up. You know, being off grid, you can play a really solo act, and I've been sharing outwardly in a lot of ways, but not specifically on behalf of the waters. And it begins now. And again, I thank you, and I'll make sure you get my email, and I look forward to being in touch.
Okay, thank you. And just so that
again,
you know,
thank you, sisters and brothers. Thank you.
So just that you know, just as you finished, it started pouring rain outside the window.
Yeah.
Like, so the waters are celebrating. I can't even believe it. So anyway, thank you. So we'll continue.
Oh my God. Well, I have to tell you, the dolphins are here too. I feel the dolphins' joy big time in the center of the circle. It's beautiful. All right. Thank you so much.
It's raining here as well. It just started raining here.
Yay,
California.
Yay. Love to you all.
Yes.
Till next time.
Great.
Bye now.
Time is now. Time is now.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So I'm going to just share
love.
love. I'm going to share just one thing, and then we're going to open it up. And I want to also acknowledge that Kate is on. She's listening, but it's after midnight in the UK. So if you feel like you want to jump in first. We would love to hear from you in case you're going to fall asleep on us. And Elizabeth, and we also, I just want to say that two things. One is that we hold Jim Petruzzi, Jim Graywick Petruzzi into this circle, who's one of our water guardians, and Charlie Riverman, who couldn't make it here tonight, and Maya Shaw Gale and Laurie Point Wynn. These are the ones that that are with us, really holding the space. And also, it's really important tonight as we hold this vibration of Om Ma Ka Om, to know that there are people that are experiencing a really severe hurricane, and that the waters might not feel so wonderful to them right now, and that we can just hold space and love the movement of the storm, and call for a little bit of a gentling for them, and whatever else you want to bring into the circle when you're sharing. So really simply, the way this works is, and also I want to honor Julie Armstrong, who's with us, and Elizabeth, who's on the phone. They're part of our Loving Waters Council call too, and they'll be jumping in as well. So again, the way this call works is just to share your heart, what's emerging. If you can keep it to 2 to 3 minutes, that's good, because we want to let people really have an opportunity to share, and we'll be able to have to share more than once. And it depends on how it goes toward the end. So please share, not so much your story, your long story, but your watershed, and how are the waters, how are they emerging for you? What's your love of water? And also, we open for questions, towards the end of this call, and you can share with us. Sometimes people just want to learn a little bit more about how to do it. How are you doing your, what are you doing in your community or with your family or not? So everything is accepted here, so that we can grow more together. So with that, I hand over this beautiful crystalline water talking stick. It's invisible. And just feel free to jump in. And I will just invite Kate, because I know it's so late there. If you do feel like you want to share anything, you can feel free to unmute yourself. But on that, just listen to your waters, and we're so happy to have you. Really happy to be listening. And I'm complete.
This is Elizabeth. I grew up in the Lake Tahoe.
This is Shanti Hart. I wanted you to see I made a little altar for, so this is would be a typical, I'm trying to get this so you can see. Let's see. Tell me when you can see the altar. Oh, I hope no one gets seasick. I'm sorry. All right. There. Okay. So I made a little altar. I have this copper pitcher. So we take a copper pitcher. It has a little cup in it. So when we do our ceremonies, I'm by Lake Michigan. So we run into the waves and we scoop up some of Lake Michigan in here. And then we use the little cup during the ceremony, and we pour some in there. We set the pitcher over, and then we start the blessing. We do sage. I made a little thing with, these are seagull feathers from the shore of Lake Michigan that we use to spread the sage around. So it's all very local and organic. And then everyone starts adding their water. And these are some of my finished sacred product bottles that I keep compiling and adding. So I have a spray version, And then I have a bigger one. And we have droppers for people to add. And everybody adds to this and they give their blend of why they are grateful for the water. They add it all together. And then we sing some songs, and we all take a turn giving a little bit of it back to Lake Michigan, the combined water, and finish with a closing blessing. And then we divide up what's left in here. And we also put a dab back in here, and then we return all of that to Lake Michigan. So that's how we do our little ceremony. And then it is very contingent upon how many people show up and the weather. If it's snowy, it's a whole other ceremony. So that's my sharing about our water ceremonies. I'm going to go on mute again now.
Thank you so much. And Elizabeth, you can go ahead. Sometimes, just so that you know, everyone, that when people are on the phone, it takes them a little bit longer to come in. So we just give a little space for people to make their way through the phone. So Elizabeth, I heard you start to talk.
Yeah, thank you. It's not open for me right at this moment, but I'll talk in a little bit. Thank you, though, Shelley.
Okay.
Well, hello, I'll jump in. Julie Armstrong, welcome everyone. Lovely to see you. And thank you so much for joining us. I'm in Canberra, Australia, and we're about 2.5 hours from the coast. And our watershed is the Murrumbidgee River that is one of the big rivers that actually leads into the Murray-Darling Basin, which is our shed in Australia. It flows all the way from Queensland right up the north, from the Darling River, and then comes down the Murrumbidgee, joins into the Murray, which is in Victoria, just quite about 5 hours south, and that goes all the way down to Adelaide, which is right on the Southern Ocean. So it is an amazing watershed. It's the third largest in the world. And last night, we do ceremonies on all sorts of different rivers and creeks and even underground water occasionally. Because I live in a city, there's all sorts of creeks that flow into eventually about 10 minutes from where I live. And we had this wonderful gathering in June where we had this Scans festival that Kate and Shelley were here for, and other friends. And it was this really big gathering. And then in July and August, and I actually have just really done a ceremony by myself. It's been quite a change because the usual people who have been involved have moved away. So I think this next full moon ceremony, just have to work out how to gather people again and call them in for a ceremony. So just to let you know that, sometimes things go really well. We had about 30 people. It was just fantastic. But sometimes it's just me, and sometimes there's two of us. And usually, I can get maybe 5 people to come along. I also just want to acknowledge that last night I was at part of the Australian Association of Environmental Educators, and we gave our award last night, environmental award, to Wu O'Reilly, who actually got the award for being a coordinator of Water Watch. And so she's actually taken care of this particular catchment. We have 4 different Water Watch groups in Canberra, and they do amazing, basically collecting data on what's going on in the water. And she's been a real pioneer on making sure that this Water Watch program has been financed by the government. Because at one point when she just got her job, they cut the funding. But then the government realised that their work was really important for the data to know what was going on with the water. And obviously this is a water catchment area, water catchment for a very, very huge area. So it was just lovely to meet this woman who was so passionate about water, and other people who are really, they were scientists. And to hear about their work and their work with children as well in gathering, going into schools and ways to reduce water consumption, and was wonderful. So that's me. Thank you.
Oh, Agnes can't hear you. Try again.
Maybe now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it up a little bit louder though, I think.
No, I was just saying that I don't normally host water blessings. I just joined some that we did with Julie in Sweden. But the theme has been coming back a little bit. Like this summer, I was canoeing in a river, also in Sweden, for 10 days, and it was very beautiful to just be with the river flow and drink the river and swimming the river and everything. Was very inspiring. So now I just wanted to join the meeting to hear more about the theme and get more into to be more aware of this blessing that we have every day, and yeah, maybe get into practice more because I'm not. I just learned a little practice of blessing the water with the thank you water and I love you water and water I respect you, yeah, this little one, and it's been very nice also sometimes doing it and drink the water. But yeah, that's just my little remembers, and I would like to hear more. Also, just to say that here is also very late, so I might leave the meeting earlier than when you finish. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And I know we try to work it out between Australia and the UK. It's kind of interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I just want to jump in again and say thank you so much for joining us, Agnes. We had this really special time in Sweden where Agnes was and a whole gathering of young people. It was so amazing to do the water blessing on this this water that was going into the Baltic Sea, and this incredible group of young people who were willing to come with me and do a water blessing. It was really, really special. So it's really special that you've come again and joining in. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. So for those of you that are just joining us, welcome Storm and Henry. We're just going around and simply sharing our love for water in whatever way comes to you. And it's always beautiful because this is sort of a global call to just let people know what your watershed is. And if you don't know, just share where you are. And, the more we get to know you, then we can support you. And I'm learning too about watersheds as well. So just feel free to jump in.
Hi. I will also I will also jump in, being also from the UK, and I feel like I know Agnes. I don't know where you're located, but perhaps it's in Devon, in Dartington. Um, I will speak a little bit about the ceremony that Tracy and me made in Scotland a few days ago. And Tracy is the initiator of the SCANS meeting in Canberra, and I know she's sleeping now. But it was on the lands of the River Neath in Scotland, and we really improvised something like organic by a stream, and then did a very impromptu ceremony in this amazing site called the Croic Multiverse, which is actually built on an old coal mine, and it's a site which has been molded into mounds representing contemporary space science. So there are mounds for Andromeda and mounds for the Milky Way and mounds for superclusters, and the whole site has it's so modern and yet it's so old, and it has this element of a kind of a new age coming in, and it was really glorious to do ceremony there. And there was something very much about the star card from the tarot, and that was something that Tracy's husband had brought from Australia. Don't know if people know the star card, but it's a woman generally depicted naked, who's reaching up to the heavens and pouring water down from the heavens and connecting it to the land. And that was the energy of this ritual. I feel it was a very intense time, and I feel very, very tired now, especially as when I returned to London, my family home by the Thames had been the place of a failed terrorist attack, which is strange because Parsons Green really was a place that nothing ever happened growing up. So I just have this great feeling of the strangeness of this time, and just so glad for the welcome and the connectivity of this weave of amazing, intentional people, and so glad to keep on learning and keep on doing each month with the moon. So I'll stop there because I am very tired, but I'm very happy listening to you, and so glad to be a part of this. Thanks.
This is Elizabeth. Not sure how many people are on the call, but I really want to thank everybody that took the time and the intention to follow their believe and come here to this call today, because it's such an important action. So simple, but so strong and just so beautiful. And been thinking a lot about the reciprocity that happens when you start from this place of living water, living intelligence, source water. Because when it all comes down to it, water is always first with life. No water, no life. No life, no love. And I had a direct experience with this. I've been doing my water blessings on the South Yuba River, which is where I'm living now. And I've lived on the Yuba River for a number of years, and I've now moved to a new part of the river and a new community, and I don't really know it, and I'm trying, maybe a little too hard or thin, I don't know, to get the water blessings going. And I've done a lot of blessings by myself in this one particular spot. And there's been this huge piece of metal that I could see twisted, and I said, we got to get that out of there. How do I get this out of here? And I included getting that piece of metal out of the river. And what it was a culvert pipe that had been washed down by a flood. And once a year, Circle, which is our South Yuba River Citizens League, does a river cleanup. And it's a huge thing. We have over 700 volunteers and about 10,000 pounds of garbage this year. And I was late and I had to find my crew. They said, we're going to be on this section of the river. And I went there and they weren't on the section that they said they would be. They were exactly in the spot where I do my water blessings. And they were working on this pipe to get this huge 25-foot culvert pipe that was bent and covered in sand. And, you know, the current was taking it and we all were engineering this big pipe. And I jumped right in the water and, you know, it was like, yeah, the crew's arrived. So it was such a beautiful reciprocity, the universe listening to that prayer to precisely answer that call to get that piece of massive trash out of the river. And it took 15 of us and we all worked in conjunction and everybody was listening to each other and respecting everybody and listening to the people that really seemed to know, okay, if we move it this way, the current's going to move it that way. And we had ropes on it and centipeded up the cliff. And it was the most amazing engineering hydro project. It was so beautiful. And I just was giving thanks the whole time because it was an answer. It was such a clear, obvious answer that I'm really beginning to learn that we speak and listen to water and honor us as her, honor ourselves as water, he, she, as the source force of life. The more that force will act through us in reciprocity, and force is just waiting for us to come home and to remember. So that's my word for this month, the reciprocity of water. Thank you all. I love you.
I'll speak now, if I may. I'm in New Mexico, in Santa Fe. I actually recognize Raina's name, Faye, and looks like Henry's here too. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? How about
Yeah.
now?
Now's better. Yes, thank you.
All right, I have to come closer, I guess.
Thank you.
What's that? Can you hear me okay? Yes. So I started a group called the Santa Fe Water Awareness Group here in Santa Fe, and as part of that, we gather together for new and full moon and do ceremonies for the water in what we call a medicine water wheel. It's a sacred geometric shape that's a combination of the medicine wheel, the directions, and then we have within that structure a flower of life that is curved lines that meet together to make a six-sided figure. We have a number of these around the world. They were started by a group of people here in New Mexico. Marshall Jack Golden Eagle is one of the people who is a little in that. And his team began one here in New Mexico, and then myself and two other friends got permission from the Parks Department to build one in a park here in Santa Fe, and that's where we meet. It's right next to the Santa Fe River, where a very large arroyo, a channel that carries water and both of the two rivers meet together, and there's this little island where we have the ceremonial space, and we meet together in new moons and full moons and do ceremonies. We call in the directions. We take turns to do blessings. We do songs. We do every time. It's totally orchestrated by the community that comes and shows up. Again, sometimes 30, 40 people, and sometimes it's just me. We did a ceremony last night, and there were two of us, a very ceremony, and then at the end we decided to take a walk, and when we came back, there were two other people sitting there who came late from the waiting room. And then we also have a water wheel at the Chi Center, not too far on the outskirts of Santa Fe, which we unified. And there's a number of new places now that we've put as well. If you're interested in getting information, you can go to the Water Awareness Group, I believe on Facebook, or website, Water Awareness Group. I think it's Water Awareness Group, not SantaFe.com. And then we also have a vision. There's a number started with the water wheels, and there's a vision to do a Santa Fe water, a global water festival, where we would take over the town for 10 days and 2 weekends, and invite people from all around the world to come and discuss water issues. The Santa Fe River is currently not running. New Mexico is one of the worst places for drought. We depend very much on a summer, we call it the months, and then in winter on snowfall for our water. So the idea of bringing people to a place like this, where we have many issues with our water. We have Los Alamos National Labs just upstream from Santa Fe. There's a lot of nuclear waste that's been there since the war that is not protected. And so we have a lot of runoff into the river from there. We've had fires where the trees have been burnt, and there's nothing to hold the vegetation. So a lot of runoff gets into the river with toxic materials. There's a lot of arsenic naturally occurring in the water. There is a very active Santa Fe Watershed Association, and there are many, many groups in Santa Fe that all are advocates for water. They're working with youth around water. And it's my dream that in 2020, we'll be able to actually do the Santa Fe Global Water Festival, have music, dance, art, discussions, technology displays in various locations around Santa Fe. I've been putting it off every few years because there hasn't been a strong enough core. And one of the issues that we find is that the public, even though we're in the middle of a drought, they're not very conscious about water awareness. I did meet Dr. Emoto many years ago in Taos and invited him to an event that we did on 11/11/11, where we blessed the water, and also included my other passion, which is the heart. We do something called Heart Thread, where we take people into the heart and help release old patterns from the body. And so we had the water and the heart represented. We used that opportunity to bless the water at the same time from the space of our hearts. That's probably enough for now. I do have, apart from the Facebook page and the website, there's a website, there's a Facebook page and a website for Santa Fe Global Water Festival and the Water Awareness Group. And then if you're interested in more stuff, you can contact me about the Heart Thread there. But Santa Fe is actually right now, this coming weekend, there's a gathering for Mother Earth that a group called Tewa Women United are organizing. And this year, the focus is on the waters. They're doing it in about 4 or 5 different locations. Many people are doing water blessings in Santa Fe. The Grand is also not far, and much of our water comes from there as well. So once in a while we go down to the Rio Grande to do blessings. But there is a fairly active, and many of the women are actually gathered to do water blessings specifically for women. But the water wheels that we do currently, we're doing them on the new moon, on the full moon, and then often we'll do them on solstice and equinoxes for a major event that's going on like a lunar eclipse. So most of the big eclipses, we've also done ceremonies, and just recently I was actually in Oregon at the Eclipse Festival doing heart rate sessions, and then people here in Santa Fe also gathered in unison with everybody around the world, blessing for the big lunar eclipse that happened on the 21st. So there's quite a lot of activity, and sometimes it's just really. I hear that story from a few of you. But we all keep plugging on because we're passionate. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Raphael, thank you. It's so nice to meet you and hear what you're doing. I want to share, would you please, either to me or through Loving Waters, to lovingwaters.life at gmail.com. That's another way. We want to make sure that we stay connected, or just to Facebook me or Facebook us through Loving Waters. But will you send us those links? And so that we can give visibility to what you're doing, because we can put up what you're doing. And this goes for anybody on the lovingwaters.life website. So that's the whole point, so that we can begin to weave our, that beautiful magic. And also, just so that you know, and we'll have to connect more, that Elizabeth and I will be heading to Taos October 19th through the 26th. To an event called New Eyes, New Vision, and Elizabeth is going to do a short talk there about the water. But I feel like, there's something there that to connect with you, or maybe we can take a jaunt over to Santa Fe, or maybe you can come. Maybe you're interested in New Eyes, New Vision and being a part of that. But there's something there that I feel like we can weave together, or at least come to the medicine wheel. And of course, Marshall Jack is one of my yummy, close friends, and I love him. And then Randy Hatton, I would imagine he's part. Is Randy working with you as well? Yeah. So Randy Hatton is just, yeah.
I'm on his board for the Clean Waters.
Right.
Clean Out.
Yeah.
So I second that, Ms. Elizabeth. I second that.
Okay. So
we'll come see you in Santa Fe.
Okay, well, we're involved. Yeah, we'll work out something. But I think for the main thing, you mentioned so many beautiful, things that are happening in Santa Fe, and we can support you, and we would love to be part of that. So just, I got some of the links, but just make sure that we have your email, and even if you private message your email and those links, so that we can make sure that we can stay connected. That'd be great.
Here's my card. I don't know how well that shows up.
It's a little hard to read, but it's beautiful. and also, I just want to, yeah. And also, I just want to acknowledge Heartthread, because I know Karen Truffalo Epperman, who does Heartthread, is a good friend of mine, and Samavesha and Magdalena. So yeah, so I get, and for all, for myself personally, the heart piece is huge. So yes, we are definitely meant to be connecting. So it's great. So I want to just, let me just open it up to see if Kathleen wants to jump in. And I met Kathleen Rouleau in Maine this summer, where we did a water blessing together with Charlie Riverman, and she's an amazing, amazing being. So Kathleen, did you want to share something? Are you there? You're on mute if you're trying to talk.
I am.
Oh, good.
There I am. Yeah, I do actually. I didn't realize I had something to share until this moment. And it's my gratitude for Loving Waters, for everyone who helped birth Loving Waters and continues to keep it going. For the new people, I am in Boston, north of Boston. Ipswich River is my watershed, and I have been doing water blessings since I think it was 2010, maybe, when I started doing monthly water blessings, and it has been life transforming for me. Not only my own, the waters within me, but my awareness to how I walk on this earth and the effect that I have on my environment. And that's not necessarily positive or negative, just it is what it is. But I have grown exponentially since being able, for the past, I think it's been a year or two anyways, of listening to these phone calls. I have learned so much, and I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you so much. And I just want to share a little bit myself. A couple of things. One is just what I've seen in this type of coming together, where it's not like a focused water blessing, but we're just meeting each other and listening and learning from each other, is so many people have been able to shift and to feel the confidence that they can do something like this. And for those that are on that are new, and for those that are just watching this, so this is the brochure, the Loving Waters brochure that we created together to give people something that they can take into the classrooms or take to their water blessings. On the back is the water blessing song, the Grand Invocation, that was promoted by Masaru Emoto for world peace. And it's a beautiful blessing. And some people, even, just so that you know, some people, they don't really know the tune, so they'll bring their cell phone to I've been at 2 water blessings, and I did this in the very beginning because I didn't know how to sing the song. But it was such a powerful invocation to the water that I took this little microphone and played the song for everybody. And it was just any way that you can do to step in and come closer to the water and to share your waters with others is absolutely gorgeous. And so we're in the second phase, and we're about to kind of clean this up a little bit. It's a beautiful brochure with definitely references, and those will be updated. But the main thing is that just to know that, this is an opportunity for people to learn more about water, whether it's through water wheels, like Raphael is doing, and or whatever way that you feel comfortable. And for me, I had never done first of all, I love the water, but I grew up around the water, but I never had done a water blessing. And I remember the first time I did one about a year ago, it was my mom that said, I was thinking, oh, well, I'm a dowser, so we'll douse for where to go, and we'll just have this little water blessing. And my mom said to me, what are you doing? Why don't you do it at Marina Jack's at the Bayfront? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I have no idea what I'm doing. But that was the water speaking. And so, I was like, okay, I don't know how to do this, but I'm going to do this because I have this little brochure, and of course, I have some shamanic background a little bit. And so, to do it in a public place, like Raphael was talking about, and some of us, to make it visible to people, to actually have people see and get, wow, what are you doing? And you can share a little bit. we had an experience after that first water blessing where someone brought somebody else back to the next one. So we never know how the water is going to affect someone. And the other thing that I did was I made a Loving Waters banner. I just took this big picture of this whale, and I printed out Loving Waters and just a little, little piece about Loving Waters, just a one-liner. And we hang that banner at the water blessings on 2 trees. And that's another way that things that you can do to just bring visibility. And even if you're just handing out these flyers, it's amazing just helping people to become more aware. So that's the beauty of Loving Waters, is there's like, we just get to hear all these different ways. But I have something that I'm excited about, because watersheds were never part of my awareness. Like, what is a watershed? I had no idea. And some people get on this call and they don't really know what a watershed is. So this was a very cool thing. So yesterday, or the day before, my landlord, who's a really good friend of mine, she woke me up really early in the morning and said, "Do you want to go to the mountain in Sarasota?" And I'm like, "Mountain? Sarasota is flat. There is no mountain here." She goes, "Oh yes, there is." And I had no idea. I had heard of this place called Celery Fields, but so we got there right before sunrise, and there is this, for Sarasota, it's a mountain. Well, what they did was they dredged. Because it was this whole consciousness around ecosystems and what was going on there. And I want to read in what this is, because it tells a little bit about a watershed. It's just really short. But also what they did was for all relations. And that was what was incredible to me. So we walked, it took if you counted up to 15, you were at the top of the mountain. But there were dragonflies everywhere. The hugest dragonflies were up there at sunrise. And then this one other magical thing happened, and I had no idea. She goes, "Well, there's another surprise." And I said, "Well, really? Well, what is it?" She said, "Just wait." And she had me wait. And as the sun was coming up over the horizon, all of a sudden I started to hear these sounds. And I'm like, "What is that? Oh my God." And apparently, right near there's a big cat habitat, and I had no idea that lions begin to roar at sunrise, and the lions began to roar, and it was the most amazing experience. And I also saw, this is the next place that maybe we can go bless the water, because it's such a really unique, and the Audubon Society has come in, and we were talking about a labyrinth there, or maybe that's an amazing place in Raphael for a medicine wheel. I've never done that. So maybe that's part of coming to see what you've done, and learning that, and doing something like that here. So what I learned was it's called the Celery Fields Watershed. It's part of a 55 square mile watershed known as Philippi Creek Basin. And then it shares, just for people who might watch this who don't know what a watershed is, it's just simply a watershed captures and drains water through a network of natural and man-made channels and ditches to a common body of water. When it rains within the basin, pollutants are carried into stormwater runoff to the bay. Today, much of the natural creeks and marshes have been altered and replaced with canals for drainage. As the water moves through the Celery Fields Regional Stormwater Facility, it passes through a series of control structures and ecosystems that provide the lost essential functions, including control of erosion, settling of pollutants, and biological uptake of nutrients. The result is cleaner water from the 3,000-acre drainage area flowing downstream to the Philippi Creek, and ultimately out towards Roberts Bay North, which then flows into the ocean. So it was really beautiful to learn of how the county and the Audubon Society came in to create, because actually this was bidded for a huge development, a huge industrial development, and they stopped it to create this beautiful mountain in Sarasota. So it was a really exciting experience, and again, just a part of becoming aware of what's happening locally in our environments. We can begin to go, "Oh wow, I wonder if there's something like that in my area, or who are the people that are doing it." So that's really, for me, just was a really exciting experience, and to share that, wow, this is the watershed I'm living in. Now I understand more. So with that, I'm complete. And again, we have about 15 more minutes, and we will do a beautiful closing. Maybe Julie or Elizabeth, if you feel that there's a closing, or a poem or something that we can read into the field. I'm just going to put that out to you because I've been talking here so much. And also, just again, I love how people have been sharing, what they're doing for their water blessings. And so we open this time for any questions or anything that's popping for anyone. I loved what Kate was sharing, just how we can just come to a place, and a simple, beautiful tarot card, and how that can be, really open the way for the waters to speak and for us to share our love and receive, as Elizabeth was sharing, that reciprocity from the waters. So what a beautiful gift that we have together. And I'm complete. So the beautiful crystalline magic. Hold on. Okay, so the magic fairy wand. For those of you who can't see, I live in a fairy house, and it's owned by a woman named Fairy Elaine, for sure. And it's this beautiful crystalline copper fairy water. It has crystals and a fairy at the top of the wand. So feel free to grab it.
Shelley, this is Elizabeth. As per your opening for a closing, I'm currently driving, so won't be me today, but thank you for the offer.
Okay.
I didn't know we were having the surprise of the beautiful new chant that she shared with us, the Hawaiian chant. So I had written down this beautiful song that I've been learning. I like to do mantra, and so I really enjoy David Primal, listening to her voice. She's got a great voice. So she recently did some new things, and you never know. I don't ever know the words, what they mean, but this one, and there's another one, but today I'm going to do this short one that I was so drawn to the sound of it. I kept going, what does this mean? I have to, it's just so, and I just kept putting it back on, listening to it over and over again. So finally I looked it up, and I looked up the words so that I could learn it. And it's based on a Yoruba African prayer, which it's through Nigeria. Yoruba is I believe it's a religion that they follow. And so they have a goddess called Yemaya, and she is the goddess of the ocean. And so this chant that I will share with you is a celebration of the moment when the river meets the ocean. So at that moment when they blend together, I just love the imagery of that. So it's very short and very simple. You'll all get it quickly. So it's Yemaya, Asasu, Asasu, Yemaya. Yemaya, Olodo, Olodo, Yemaya. And then I'm not a good singer like Deva, but I will try. Okay. Yemaya, Asasu, Asasu, Yemaya. Yemaya, Olodo, Olodo, Yemaya. That's all it is, but it's that moment when the river meets the ocean. I don't have any more to say.
I knew that song, but I didn't know the meaning of the words. So thank you for that. Yeah.
Hello, it's Julie again. I just wanted to share what a friend and I did this week, which was it was stirring biodynamic preparations. The biodynamic preparations are from Steiner, and it really enlivens the soil. And so once in a while we get together, a group of us, and we have this big copper pot, and we collect rainwater, and we put the preparations, which are BD 500 and many other preparations in it, and then we stir it in a vortex, and then you stop it and create chaos, and then you stir it away, and it goes from being quite a crumbly sort of textured water to being this incredibly smooth. It's just so amazing to see the transformation that happens through the stirring. And when we were stirring, it was just like, let's put out, as much love and gratitude into this. And then after an hour, it takes an hour to stir it. Then you take this and you just get a twigs or a brush and spray out onto the garden. And it really creates this, through time, it can create this really enlivened soil. And it's really quite amazing to hear of how landscape has been changed by the application of this microscopic, absolutely microscopic substance. And I was just, thinking, what do I bring to the circle? But it was also just how, when we're just water in the bigger context of growing, of soil, of nourishment, that when we put compost or on top of the dry earth basically, the sun comes down, the water can't be absorbed by the soil. So when we put a shield over it and then allow the soil to actually, the microbes to be active, then it changes. And it's really quite amazing to read different books about people who have worked with how to reclaim the desert, bring back. And it's to do with the soil, to do with the humus, to do with the microbes, and of course the cover, that with increasing climate heat, that we have to create more places that are shaded, and that cools. It cools the atmosphere, it cools the cities. Many of us live in cities. So just that picture of, as well as the water blessings, to just those practical applications of use through permaculture and biodynamics and organics. The way we grow our food is a really important part of retaining the water in the soil and in the atmosphere. So the trees, of course, it's all one. So that's me. Thank you. And it's such fun. It's really fun to these preps as a community, and then to share this, so everyone takes bottles home to their gardens and their community gardens and puts it.
That's beautiful, Julie. This is Elizabeth again. I would like us to remind us that the other thing that was very important that was added to this process is the spiral, the vortex. Water is spiralic. That's how it moves. That's how it dances. And when we remember that and bring our water back to the spiral, or the spiral back to our water, it changes everything. Thank you.
Oh, I have a question. In Scotland, we made this big spiral out of copper, and I don't know why copper really. And copper's been mentioned already as something that someone has used in ceremony with the cups, and I feel it's something to do with dowsing. If anyone could illuminate me on that, that would be good.
So I love what you just described, Kate, and I'm chuckling. So copper actually receives information. It receives. It can hold vibration and it can hold intention. And when this, especially this year, so I've been dowsing for, I don't know, maybe 10 years, but more transformational dowsing, house dowsing, land dowsing, that kind of thing. And the copper, there's a relationship, I believe, with the copper and the earth and the water. And what I've discovered, and I usually just share this in my classes, but when you speak to the copper as if it's in its original form, because as we know, sometimes copper gets taken out of the earth in a very destructive way. But if you speak to the copper, be it a vessel or be it copper rods that we cure some of these dissonant frequencies with in a house or on land, copper can hold that vibration. So I don't know if that's what people are understanding, but it's been my growing experience with copper. It receives, it's like it is an elemental being. And I've been thinking a lot about this on tonight's call, that, we didn't like specifically call in the elementals to be on this call, and yet they're here, they're aware, water, all the different nature spirits. So I believe, so copper is used, it can actually stop dissonant frequencies, and it can also receive information to be a holder for these intentions that are actually really vital and necessary at this time. So I will go deeper now that you asked that question. And if anybody else knows anything, that's fine too. And obviously
this copper spiral is a hedeka, and it is a symbol for water, and it's 3 spirals connected. It's Hedeka. You could look that up, and it's a symbol for water. And this one is Brian Besco. You could put it underwater and transmute water with it also.
And obviously it's a soft metal, so I think that's part of it. So we have a few minutes, and I just wanted to let you know that, so just what comes up for Loving Waters. Obviously you can stay connected, make sure that we have your email address, so you can put it in the messages here or in private message or just on Loving Waters, whatever you want to do. Or go to lovingwaters.life and sign in, because we don't overdo the emails, but we do send out an email once a month and to let people know what's happening, and then also to share with you some of the water guardians, and we will, if you let us know, if you know how to set up an event for, like right now, the next connection would be the Global Full Moon Water Blessing. And I believe that's on October 5th and 6th for Australia. And so this is where everyone just listens to their guidance and creates a community gathering or hosts their own, or maybe you're by yourself. But if you would be willing to share your watershed, share where you're going. If you're great at social media, you can, you can create an event, and we'll share it and we'll put it on our calendar. Or you can send the information to myself or Elizabeth, and we will create an event for you on Facebook, and where people can make visible what you are doing. So, so any of those of the above, the best way to do it is to go to lovingwaters.life, and go to the website, or just go lovingwaters.life@gmail, and send us that information. And that's really part of our goal, is to really give visibility so people can begin to see, if they're in different places, how they can host and how they can participate. So just, you know, it's really just a celebration and uniting together to make these water blessings visible, and giving people a way to begin to trust themselves. Wow, I can do this, and participate, create their own. So with that, I think it's just taking a moment.
I will jump in.
Okay, go right ahead. And you can close the call.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in to finish. I'll close it. I just wanted to show you, this is one of a book that's been really important, The Spiritual Life of Water. It's Power and Purpose by Alec Bartholomew. And I'm going to read this still water meditation, which has been an important part of a ceremony that we started. We were looking for a picture of the water cycle, and it has this really beautiful picture in this meditation, and we used it at the water ceremony that we did at Scans, the big gathering, and people around the world used it. And so it's on the website. It's by Caroline Way, and it's got these beautiful pictures. So I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining us. It's just so beautiful to hear the different stories, and yeah, the energy that's coming in. It was just lovely to have all of this wonderful sharing. And so when you do a water ceremony, remember that others around the world are doing it with you, even if it's just you. And it can be as simple as saying Dr. Emoto's water blessing 3 times. Water, I love you. Water, I thank you. Water, I respect you. That in itself is so powerful. The water responds. So, Still Water Meditation by Caroline Way. If you have water, just put a little drop in your just in the palm of your hand. Just the drop that you hold in your hand is part of the water which was the cradle of all life on this planet eons ago. The first rain that splashed down on the hot earth to form the first sea. Each drop in sunlight has risen from the sea in countless ages and fallen to the earth again as rain. The drop that you hold in your hand has been forming myriad rainbows, has travelled underground streams, bubbling through dark caverns. The architect of cathedral caves formed valleys and split granite. The drop that you hold in your hand has flowed down broad rivers, has risen in the sap of trees, has been the sweat of slaves and the tears of children. It has become the foam-topped waves and deep, unfathomable depths of vast, dark lakes and seas. The drop that you hold in your hand has been part of great floods. It has been a dewdrop on a blade of grass, a drop that has been pounded through the hearts of whales in blood and lain in an eagle's egg. It has travelled in the fluid of a poet's brain and dripped from the wounds of the dying. The drop that you hold in your hand has been trapped in the snows of the Arctic, reflected in a desert oasis and refreshed the weary. This drop, unimaginably old, fresh and new, is evaporating slowly from your hand to mingle with the air you breathe, perhaps, or drift in a sun-topped cloud 1,000 feet above the earth. Imagine its journey from it. Where will it go? You can direct its journey as it evaporates. Send your consciousness with it. It is the water of life. It is still water. Thank you.
So just taking a breath, beautiful unified breath together in gratitude and love.
Yeah.
Gratitude for all those beautiful beings that have been with us tonight and held in this circle. And to those that are within the arms and being embraced by the hurricane, we just send out our love and prayers and safekeeping. And thank you so much for showing up. And again, this recording will go out and feel free to share it. That's about it. We'll see you on this call in another month. And please feel free to stay connected on Loving Waters Facebook page and on the website, and to share your gifts. Much love and amazing connection tonight. So thank you. Everybody can unmute and say goodbye. Move through the spiral of life. Thank you so much. Meet all your new faces. And
meeting you, Anya.
yeah,
Good to see you.
beautiful. And
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, wait.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Good night.
Lovely to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.